All right. Well, thank you all. Welcome to the Lower Mystical Communications Call for Artists information session. I'm going to pass it to my colleague Nubis to get us going.
Thank you. Welcome. I think we have a small group today, so maybe we can go around the room and do a bit of introduction. Just your name, your pronoun, the organization you're associated with, and your position if you're in the project team, and if you're an artist, just briefly tell us who you are. So I'm Nubis. I'm the Arts, Culture, and Humanities Planner at MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council. And I'll pass it over to Anis.
Thanks, Nubis. Hi, everybody. My name is Anis Sengupta. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of Arts and Culture at MAPC. Glad to be here today. And I will pass it to Lafayette.
Hello, I'm Lafayette Cruz. I'm a regional arts and culture planner here with MAPC, and I use he series pronouns. I'll pass it to Mari.
Hello, my name is Maria Angelia Echevarria Ramos. I use she, her pronouns. I work for Mystic River Watershed Association, and I'm the Climate and Social Resilience Manager. I will pass it to Julia.
Thanks, Maddie, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julia Nasser. I'm also at MAPC, and I'm supporting the Call for Artists and a couple of other factions of this project. Sharon, do you want to go next?
Hi, all. I'm Sharon Ron. I am the Assistant Director of the MAPC Public Health Team, and I am part of the project team. And I think that's all of us. So
I think we can pass to the artist. If we want. There's someone in the room.
Hi, my name is Balwant. I'm with North Shore Community Health as the Community Advocacy Coordinator, and I do art on the side. So I thought I had just saw the email from the MAPC Communications and just wanted to know more about the project and what was going on there.
Awesome. Welcome. Yeah, just thank you all for being here. And today's agenda, we will share a little bit about the project background. We'll go through the call for artists, and we'll open the time to Q&A. While we go through the deck, if you have any questions, feel free to stop us or drop the question into the chat box. So a little bit about Metropolitan Area Planning Council. We are a regional planning agency for the Greater Boston metro area, as you see on the map, and we provide technical assistance in a variety of planning disciplines. For example, in this project, we do like interdisciplinary work to kind of include arts and culture into climate resiliency topic. So in this project, we MAPC are going to contract artists and manage the process. And this is also a collaboration with Myra, which I will pass it over to Marley to explain more.
Yeah, thank you, Nubis. So Mystic River Watershed Association is a regional nonprofit located in the Greater Boston area. We cover the area of the Mystic River Watershed, which are 21 municipalities, and we work towards building solutions to help all of our residents to have a thriving and healthy life and communities, but also to protect the environment and the Mystic River Watershed natural resources. We also do a lot of climate resilience. That's how we're collaborating into this project. And we do this through one of our biggest projects that is called the Resilient Mystic Collaborative. So this is a partnership among 20 neighboring communities within our watershed that are working to address climate change challenges that no single municipality can do alone. And we're part of this project team, and we're mostly dedicating our time to the project, but also coordinating with residents on the ground and community-based organizations.
Thank you. I also wanted to add that Myra also has an artist in residence who is also on the selection committee of the project. And they also have a new climate leaders program, which is led by the local residents to engage their neighbors to climate action. So this is also a local resource that we hope to collaborate. And I will give the time to Julia to explain the project background.
Davis. So I want to share a little bit more about the actual project that we're doing. So the Lower Mystic School Communications Project is a collaborative effort between MAPC, Myra, and also Chelsea, Revere, Winthrop, Malden, and Everett. You can go to the next slide. So we know that our cities are hot and the Lower Mystic is even hotter. And yet our heat warnings and other communication materials are just not working and reaching the right populations or kind of resonating with the target audiences. So we are seeking to develop a coordinated, community-driven approach to heat resilience communication. The Lower Mystic, as I mentioned, is even hotter due to a number of factors like lower tree canopy cover, more impervious surfaces. And so we're really targeting the specific geography. In the same way that kind of extreme heat is more extreme in some areas and not others, though everyone is affected by extreme heat, not everyone is affected in the same way. So some of the kind of priority populations that we're thinking about through this project include older adults, 65 plus, infants, young children, people with disabilities or limited mobility, people who live alone or are bedridden, pregnant women or women with young infants, people with chronic illnesses, people experiencing homelessness, people without ACs, people who work or train outdoors. By train outdoors, there was a question once about that. It's like athletes who are disproportionately outdoors to train, or low-income households who may not have AC or be able to run their AC, people with on certain medications. So we're looking now to partner with artists to create creative communication materials that resonates with these different priority audiences through multilingual, non-traditional channels, and to kind of motivate the protective action. So specifically, the call for artists seeks to complement the traditional heat messaging with art and creative storytelling to promote more interactive and engaging communications through we have like a summer of community engagement activities. And so looking to have the arts component as a part of that as well. For the timeline, this is a 2-year grant. We started last September and it goes until June of 2026. But the actual call for artists and when we're looking to have a prototype of the art would be by the end of May, so we can actually pilot it this summer. Anything to add? If not, I can pass back to you.
Thank you, Julia. So the reason we wanted to specifically start the call for artists and to include artists into the project is one, really to expand the municipalities and the CBO's capacity, because as Julia has mentioned, like traditional heat messaging isn't always effective in reaching the public or keep public attention in the topic. So we really wanted artists to help integrate art and creative storytelling to fill the gap, and also to develop something that the municipalities and the CBOs can continue to use after the project. And another goal is to really connect municipalities and CBOs with the public to build lasting communication networks. So in the future, if communication needs to happen, or we want to do some collective action planning, we already have the seeds planted in the communities. And we also hope to enable the community in the project to share their experiences of dealing with heat, or how they envision what cool is, what cool means to them. And so it is not a one-way communication. And we also hope to prioritize the populations that are most vulnerable to heat risks. So the award offers a total of $35,000 with up to $14,000 reserved for material production, which will be distributed among up to 5 finalists, which means it can be lower than 5, depending on how many proposals we get, or aligned with our project goals and the cost that will be needed to implement these concepts. For the criteria for the selection, first is alignment with the project goals that we just mentioned. Second, your experience of using art to communicating with the populations who are who are vulnerable to the heat risks, and also your community ties, how much you're rooted in the 5 communities in the project area, and also the execution of artistic concepts is your ability to turn your ideas into something tangible, and also your sensitivity to the cultural, social, or historical background in the communities, and also your project management is your ability to match funding and also meet the project timeline. And here is what you will need for application. If you go to our website and click the application link, everything should be very straightforward. You will need to put in your basic information. If you are an artist team, please make sure you list the full names of all your team members. And you will need to submit a 1-page cover letter and answer questions of what artistic forms you practice, your connection to the community, and also your experience related to heat resilience and your time availability during the project. Of course, you will also need to submit a resume or bio and a link to your portfolio, either PDF or website. Please make sure you highlight the work that's related to the project goals and the 5 communities in your portfolio so we can easily see that. We also ask for a preliminary concept that you have for the project. It does not have to be very detailed. Just explain what you have in mind and how it aligns with our project. And we do need an estimated budget. It does not have to be a budget plan, but we want to kind of get a rough number of the cost so we can make sure that our funding can cover the implementation. Here are some key dates that you need to keep in mind. The application is due on April 4th, end of day, and you will get an email notice of the result by April 11th, and the selected artist will sign the contract by April 16th. And since then, until May 31st, you will have the time to develop your prototype, which can be a digital design or an installation demo. Yeah, and after that, you will have the time until June 30th to actually implement the artwork. I see a question. Project where the heat levels. So the question is, what are the actions that we want people to take as a result of this knowledge? Can I defer this question to Sharon, Julia?
Take it first stab, and then Sharon or Maddie, feel free to jump in. Karen, this is a great question. And I think when we have been talking about heat communications work, we often think about what are the protocols that we have in place for winter and extreme cold, and how can we kind of model our now kind of with warming and with hotter and longer summers, how could we adapt some of those protocols to this from the winter to the summer? So in addition to just kind of raising the awareness of the risk of extreme heat, it's also like, what are the protective actions that individuals can take to prepare themselves for extreme heat before the summer, during like peak hot summer, when you're on day 5 of a heat wave? What are the like, how do I stay safe? How do I make sure that I'm reaching out to my neighbors or family members that I know are more vulnerable to extreme heat, things like that. But Sharon or Maddie, please feel free to jump in.
I'll add that this is something that has come up as really important, of connecting people to actions. And so we will be refining what are the exact actions we want to lift up through this campaign throughout the next month. But as an initial response to what municipalities provide as actions that both you can take it as an individual, to say, if you want to stay safe and cool at home, what are some steps that you can take to make your house cooler? Like shutting your blinds, using a fan, but also what are the resources and services that your town or city offer that you could take advantage of if you're unable to stay cool at home, like going to a splash pad or going to a cooling center or going to the library, which has AC. And so maybe as follow-up, what we can do is provide you a selection of what the municipalities currently have on their websites as actions, and we'll reflect that this is like not comprehensive of all the different actions, and we'll have a much more refined answer over the scope of this project, but that gives you a sense of like what are the different types of things that are currently being promoted that we would want to lift up this summer.
Thank you, Julie and Sharon. I also want to add that I think that's also something that artists can help with, is to really kind of reflect people's experience around heat and what actions they will need, what resources they will need to deal with heat risk. Yeah, so maybe we can do some storytelling to get this type of information. Very good question. So before we go to the Q&A session, I do wanted to mention that if you have more questions after the info session, you have two ways, either to attend another info session, which is on March 20th, or you can submit your question to our email, which is here, by March 24th. And other questions we received either through email or during the info sessions will be posted online on our website by March 28th. And please notice that that is the version that you should follow that has the final answers to all the questions. So I do recommend you to check that out before you submit your application. Cool. And I think I'll leave the time to more questions.
I had a question about, I guess just the type of art. So I get the idea of storytelling and letting people know about the lessons for, understand cooling and heating. But is there like a specific type of medium that you are looking for, or is it pretty open-ended?
Very good question. Right now, it's pretty open-ended. We don't set like a lot of limit on the type of arts, but there are some things that you might want to consider. One is that we wanted this artwork to be like the municipalities and CBOs can continue to use. So it's not just like a one-time like a thing. But it does not mean that it cannot be an event or something. You can still develop like an engagement model, right? And the municipalities can adapt to their context in their communities in the future.
And then I think my other question, so related to that, and form, was accessibility. So if it were to be like a video project, would that just be less accessible? Or just because like of like me having access to the video, or would it come with a place where people can watch the video already?
Yeah, I think video is definitely included in the art forms that we welcome. In terms of accessibility issue, I think it really depends on like who your audience is. Yeah, Sharon, do you want to add something to it?
Yeah, I think we would want to work with you thinking through who are the different messenger partners on this project. So one of them that was mentioned in the introductions was the ability to go to these events over the summer. But we also have a bunch of community-based organizations and municipalities core part of putting out these messages over the summer. So if it was a medium that was like video, I think we would want to sit down with you when after you submit that initial proposal and talk through, is this something that could be shared via WhatsApp, which is a very commonly mentioned messaging service that people are using to get these types of awareness campaigns out there? Or is this something that we could partner with the local access TV groups to put on their channels? And I think with that reflecting with how your video, like Nuba said, who's the intended audience of that video? And like, we know, for example, that the local access TV is really effective at reaching seniors. And the WhatsApp is really good at catching families and newly immigrated groups. So like, how are we having the video, thinking through how your audience is also going to be captured by that communication channel? But again, this is something that we would love to do in communication with you once you sort of identify what your core idea is and trying to think about what are the networks that we already sort of have identified for this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Are there any more questions? Or any thoughts?
Could I just ask a follow-up on Sharon, what you were talking about, and just sharing a little bit about what opportunities might be available for artists to get some of this information if they would be selected as they're kind of developing their prototypes between April 16th and May 31st?
Can you be specific about like types of information?
Will the project team be able to connect artists with any relevant community partners or individuals who are engaged in the project that could help them better tailor their idea to the community?
Yeah, Mari, do you want to talk a little bit about the Climate Leaders?
Yeah, we do have the community-based organizations that are engaged through this process, and also Myra has a group of climate leaders that are representatives of the communities. They're serving as liaisons that are also going to be doing engagement during the summer to really understand how to shape that communication strategy and make sure that it's responsive and like that is shaped by how people like to be communicated with and what are the needs that they have. So I do envision that through that process, if you need, and we hope that you want to communicate with our climate leaders and with the CBOs to vet ideas, to understand their priorities, to understand what they think is more appealing to their communities, that communication channel is there. And the idea is that this process is participatory and that we make sure that whatever medium or whatever the artist decides to create, that is something that is well received by the community members, but that there's some sense also of ownership, that people were engaged in the process of giving input to that art installation or whatever you're creating. And then also we do have, as we were saying earlier, the artists in residence for Mystic River Watershed Association that is already doing a lot of research too on what is happening in the watershed to translate that to inform art installations. So I feel like also Andres could be a resource to share some of the knowledge around the region with that kind of lens of like how an artist can process information to then inform an art piece.
Thank you, Marie. I think we have another question in chat box. Are there people who either live with disabilities or work as access service providers who are advising this initiative? Sharon, do we have this kind of connection in the project?
None of our community-based organizations are specifically organizations that serve folks who live with a disability. On the municipal end, several of our municipalities convened multi-departmental groups. Some of those groups are focused on folks who have mobility limitations that they are considering in times of emergency, or folks who may have medical devices who would be more detrimentally impacted during an emergency event. But I think that you're sort of lifting up the experience of folks that live with a disability would be something that we would be excited to explore through this project. And although we don't have a specific community group who is part of this project team currently who is advising on it, there are municipal staff who certainly have that expertise that we would love to connect you with. And we also have connections in the greater Boston area to different organizations who do that type of work that we could pull upon for their sort of advice and advisory capacity.
Thank you, Sharon. Are there any more questions, either from the project team or from artists? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Karen, for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's definitely something, like a very valuable perspective, that we wanted to have in this project. Yeah, so I'm very excited to, yeah, to know more about, your ideas. Yeah, so if there are not more questions, I think we can wrap it up. And again, if you have more questions, you always have these two channels to ask us. Yeah, and do check out our website and see the FAQ document once it's released. Well, thank you again for being here and responding to this call so quickly. I know it's only been a few days after we released it. Yeah, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.